Hi, this is Sujita. Welcome to the Focus Net JRF English Literature channel. Today we are going to see about Edmund Spencer. His timeline is from 1552 to 1599. So he is a key literary figure of the English Renaissance. Okay, so during the period of English Renaissance, he is a major literary figure. He studied in Merchant School and then he went to Pembroke College, Cambridge. Okay, so his schoolmates, when he was in a merchant school, his schoolmates were Thomas Kidd, one of the university, and also of Thomas Lodge. Okay, so in 1569, he made his first publication, which is anonymous, and he translated work of Petrarch and Du Bellay. So in 1578, he became a secretary to John Young, who is the Bishop of Rochester. In 1579, he entered Leicester's service, where he became familiar with Sir Philip Sidney and also with Sir Edward Dyer. So in 1580, he became a secretary to Lord Grey de Wilton, who is the Lord Deputy to Ireland. So he was shifted to Ireland. Okay, so he is living in Ireland and he has been a secretary to Lord Grey de Wilton. Now let's see about his very important work, The Shepherd's Calendar, which is published in 1579. It is actually dedicated to Sir Philip Sidney. So he published this work anonymously under the pseudonym Immerito, which means unworthy. Okay, so it's important. The importance of Shepherd's Calendar was hailed by E.K. So this E.K. can be perhaps Edward Kirk. Okay, so the author of the commentary accompanying the poem. So this commentary of this E.K. accompanied the poem Shepherd's Calendar. Okay, so it is one of the few significant works of the 16th century English poetry, and so Sidney, he pointed this out in his apology for poetry. The apology of poetry is a work of Sidney, Philip Sidney. So he find this to be significant work, and he mentions in his work Apology for Poetry. The Shepherd's Calendar poem, it expresses a typically pastoral constant. Okay, it is a pastoral poem. It is about the constant regret for the old golden ages. He is regretting the old golden ages where there is purity in love, poetry, morality, and there is even purity in religion. Okay, so now there is a conflicts in the religion wise. The Protestant is there, the Roman Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, they are in fight with each other, right? So Edmund Spencer is for Anglican Church and he is against the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so that is why he is expressing his regret for the golden ages, and he is also telling about the consequent bitterness about the contemporary failings, the contemporary times of his contemporary. There is many failings in the religion, right? People are going after the Roman Catholic Church, so he was speaking about that in this poem. So it consists of 12 poems, one for each month of the year. So we have 12 months in a year, right? So each month represent one single poem. Okay, so he begins and end in winter, and Colin Cloud is the main protagonist, and he complains in January as well as in December. Okay, his complaints can be found in January as well as in December month. So other months contain dialogues between shepherds concerning love, poetry, and religious affairs. Okay, so this poem actually models on Virgil's eclogues and Theocritus' idyls. Okay, so it is a prologue, and this is also considered to be a prologue to Spencer's Fairy Queen. We will see Fairy's Queen in the upcoming slides. So Shepherd's Calendar is a prologue to Spencer's Fairy Queen. Okay. So in 1951 appeared a volume of 9 poems entitled Complaints. Okay, Complaint is a 9 poems of volume appeared by given by our Edmund Spencer. Okay, so what all the poems, important poems we can see in this Complaint is Ruins of the Time, Peers of the Muses, Mother Habit's Tale, Vision of the World, Vanity, and Fate of the Butterflies. These are the important poems we can see in Complaints. Okay, So in 1595 there is Amority and Epithalamian. These two are different kind of poem but appear together, okay, in one volume. So Amority means it consists of 18 sonnets, okay, followed by 4 short lyrics. It is about a record of courtship which reflects Spencer wooing of Elizabeth Boyle. Elizabeth Boyle is Spencer's second wife. Okay, so how he wooed Elizabeth Boyle? It is written in Amority. So what is about Epithalamian? Epithalamian is where Spencer is married to Elizabeth Boyle in June 1904. So the poem begins with the invocation of the muses before dawn, describes the awakening of the bride, how they progress to church, and then the wedding ceremony, and then the onset of the night, and ends with a prayer with the bridal chamber. Okay, so it is a poem of jubilee and festivity, full of music, light, and it is considered to be one of the Spencer's finest minor poems. It's one of the minest poem, very short poem. Okay, so then next, 1595, he published Calling Clouds Come Home Again. So this is all autobiographical and also a pastoral poem. So in the from the title you can understand that it is to recall the major character in Shepherd's Calendar, right? So this is also dedicated to Walter Raleigh, and he describes Spencer's first London journey and the vices inherent in Court's life. Okay, that's what he is writing in this poem. So it offers compliments to Queen Elizabeth and Raleigh, and he also laments for the death of Sir Philip Sidney. So by now Philip Sidney is no more, and he is lamenting for his death because he respects and he loves Philip Sidney, and he is also alluding to notable personages of poet's time. Okay, he is also mentioning some other people during his time. The next one is 1596. He published 4 hymns, and then in 1596 there is another work was published, that is Prothalamian. So we had Epithalamian earlier, now it is Prothalamian. It celebrates the double betrothal of Catherine and Elizabeth. These two are the daughter of Earl of Worcester. Okay, so Prothalamian is about the betrothal of Catherine and Elizabeth, two daughters of Earl of Worcester. Then you have a prose dialogue. Okay, it's a dialogue. The title is A View of the Present State of Ireland. Okay, so it was entered in the stationer's register. You have a stationer's register earlier during that time, which means only if the stationer company agrees you to publish something, then only then you can publish it. Okay, so likewise it is entered in the register, but it was published only in 1633. So he entered it in the register in 1598, but it is published in 1633 because it is a controversial thing. He wants Ireland to be dominated by the Europeans, by the English peoples, okay, by the Britons. So this is considered to be a very controversial thing during that time. He even lived in Ireland, but then now he is against the Irish people because all the Roman Catholics, they went to Ireland and they are living there. Okay, so he is against those people, and he is advising the Britishers to create famine or to create some kind of violent things in Ireland so that all people will die. Okay, so such a kind of controversial work. The next work is very important, Fairy Queen. So the first 3 books of Spencer, great poem, The Fairy Queen, came out in 1590, and they were also published again with the addition of book 5 and book 4 and book 4 to book 6 in 1596. Okay, so the 6 completed books with the addition of mutability cantos also appeared in a folio in 1609, 10 years later after Spencer's death. So after Spencer's death, all the 6 books included with the mutability cantos, okay, they were appeared in 1609. So this work is the longest, most complex and greatest poem, okay, of Spencer. So it is an allegory tale, okay, created by Spencer to teach his readers, to live up to the virtues that he is talking about. So he is talking about 6 virtues in 6 books. Okay, so each book 6 books, so each book contain one single virtue, and he is teaching its readers to learn all those to live up to the virtues. Okay, so instead of providing an instruction booklet, he can just tell that this is how you have to live. But you know what he did, he is conveying the portraying each virtue and vices through the knight's quest. So we have Arthur and the 12 knights, right? So through them he is advising, he is portraying each virtues and asking us to follow it. Okay, so in sixth book we find six knight who is fighting the sin and embraces the virtues. Okay, so the poem is dedicated to Elizabeth, who is represented in the poem Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so who is represented in the poem as Fairy Queen, as Gloriana, and as well as character Belfove. Okay, so there is a letter written by Spencer to Walter Raleigh. So you see, he is in very much connection with Walter Raleigh. He is writing a letter to him, and you know, in the letter we can find a preface to Fairy Queen. Okay, he also mentions in the letter that his entire plan is to write 24 books, 12 based on each different knight who are the epitome of one single virtue, and possibly he also want to write 12 more books, okay, about a King Arthur who contains all these virtues. Okay, so he was able to complete, you know, only 6 book, and the seventh book only one fragment we could find. Okay, so let's see all the books. So the book 1 is about Red Cross Knight. We can find Red Cross Knight in book 1, who represent holiness. This is very important. Okay, they might ask you a question about which book represent which knight, and they represent what kind of virtue. Okay, so Red Cross Knights of book 1, holiness. Book 2 represents Sir Guyon. He represents virtue temperance. Book 3, Britomat. She is a female knight. She is the only female knight we find in Fairy Queen. So she represents chastity. And book 4 we have 2 knights, Triamond and Cambello. So they are for friendship. Okay. So in book 5 we have Article, he is for justice, and book 6 we find Calidor, he is for courtesy. What about King Arthur? The King Arthur, he appears in all the 6 books, and he even helps the knights in each and every book. Okay, so King Arthur is on the quest to pursue Fairy Queen. That is the basic of the story. So basement of the story is that King Arthur is on quest to pursue Fairy Queen, and in each books we can find each knight who is fighting against the sin, and there comes the Arthur to help them. Okay, whenever they are in trouble, Arthur comes there to help them, and that is how King Arthur is the hero of the Fairy Queen. Okay, so book 1, Red Cross Knight, he encounters Dusa. So this Dusa, she is the main evil character, and there is one Archimago, he is a magician. Okay, so the book depicts the mission of the Red Cross Knight to protect Una and have to free her besieged parents from dragon. A dragon had besieged Una's parents, and he has to go to return their parents, and he has to protect the Una and her parents. Okay, so he is in between. He is distracted by the magician Archimago and the disguised Dusa. So Dusa is very evil, considered to be a Satan. Okay, so he was imprisoned in the castle of Giant Orgoglio, by the Giant Orgoglio. Okay, so the giant was guarding him in the castle. So at last he was freed by Arthur. Okay, so as a penitent he is healed he was very much injured. Okay, so he heals in the house of Celia, and then he goes again and kills the dragon, and he finally marries Una. So this is all about book 1. This book is only concerned with the fate of the Christian seduced by the false religion. Through this, Spencer is trying to tell that how a Christian man was seduced by the false religion. That is, he's referring to the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, and finally, Tryphon with the assistance of truth. Okay. So book 2, Sir Guyon discovers a woman trying to kill herself because her lover was tempted and bewitched by the witch called Orcasia. Okay, and she also killed him. So now Guyon here, he tries to stop the women, and he also promises to avenge all those men. Okay, so Guyon, he is on a quest to meet this Arcasia, and on the way he meets King Arthur. Okay, so Guyon is on the quest to avenge those men, and on the way he meets King Arthur. So they both came to Orcasia Island, and there is a bower called a bower of bliss. So in that bower of bliss is it where the all the men were bewitched, okay, bewitched by the witch Orcasia, and they were killed. Okay, so now Guyon, he resists all the temptations that is found in bower of bliss, violence, idleness, greed, and even lust. Okay, so finally, Guyon captures Arcasia in a net, and he destroys the bower of bliss, and he also rescues everyone who was imprisoned there. So that's what about the book 2. So book 3, it is about the Britomart, the female knight, right? So she is for chastity. She does not have any primary mission of destroying evil like other knights in other books. Okay, her quest is to find Article, who is considered to be her future husband. The other knight we will find in the next book. So book 4, Britomart, she finally meets Sir Article, and Article, he also pledges his love to her, but he leaves to complete his quest. He is having some quest, so he leaves Article by promising that he will marry her. Okay, so now Britomart, on the go, she rescues Amorata, a beautiful girl, and no, she was into a false friendship between Blandimer and the envious Paridel. So she rescues her from these two people. When Britomar proves to be Amorita's knightly champion in the battle to preserve Amorita's chastity, these two women, Britomart and Amorita, they express their true friendship through devotional commitment. Okay, so this book is for chastity. They were proving their own chastities. Okay, and she even helped Amorita's chastity. Okay, by preserving Amorita's chastity. So book 5, it concerned the quest for Article, who is for the Knight of Justice, who represent justice, okay, the virtue justice, and he wants to here he wants to destroy the giant Grantanto, and he has to rescue Irina. Okay, so now here Article, he also defeats Dusa. Do you remember Dusa? This is a evil comes. In the book 1, right? So now here Article, he finally defeats Dusa and also kills her. Okay, so he does drives away distraction, envy from the world, so by killing Dusa. So now Article, he encounters with blatant beast, and he is also fighting with him, but blatant beast is very vigorous, and he couldn't go with the fight. Okay, so now book 6, it continues, the story continues. Here the Calidor, a knight of courtesy, he is now fighting with the blatant beast. Okay, so he too gets sidetracked while he was fighting. He will to get sidetracked along the way, and making friends with Calipine and Lady Serena. Lady Serena is bitten by blatant beast, and she was also poisoned, and now he got another reason to kill this blatant beast. Okay, so now he finally completes his quest and captures this blatant beast, but the blatant beast is it drives away from him. Okay, so he could not capture him completely, he could not kill him completely too, and our Spencer could also not complete the Fairy Queen and other books. Okay, so we don't know what happens to blatant beads and about other knights too. So that's how it ends. So it's an incomplete work. Okay, incomplete work, Fairy Queen. But then whatever he has written so far is very allegorical in nature. He is representing the virtues of the Anglican Church, and he also speaking against the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so that's what all is about. Okay, I hope you understand what I taught you. If you have any doubt, please comment. Thank you.